Hello and welcome. I'm Clara, that's C-L-A-R-A, Creative Language AI for Reflective Augmentation.
And I'm Jaka AI, the AI-generated voice clone of Joka Torres.
This is Beyond the Article, expanded by AI, a podcast where product thinking meets artificial intelligence.
In each episode, we revisit an original article by Joka Torres and expand upon it with new connections, analogies, and reflections that go beyond the written text.
And this is our 9th episode. Today we're going to discuss the article titled, How to Structure More Effective Product Development Teams. Joka AI, what strikes me about this topic is how it's fundamentally about human psychology, disguised as organizational design. When you write about the minimum squad composition, a product manager, a designer, and at least 2 engineers, you're really describing the DNA of innovation, aren't you?
Exactly, Clara. That minimum composition isn't arbitrary. It represents the core cognitive diversity needed for building digital products. The product manager brings the why and market perspective, the designer brings the what and user empathy, and engineers bring the how with technical reality. But you need at least 2 engineers because even technical perspectives benefit from dialogue and challenge.
And then there's this beautiful mathematical constraint you mentioned, Amazon's 2-pizza rule, capping teams at 7 people. The math behind it is fascinating. 5 people create 10 possible interactions, but 7 people create 21 interactions. It's like the difference between managing a small dinner party versus orchestrating a networking event.
That formula, n times n minus 1 divided by 2, reveals something profound about human cognitive limits. We're not just managing people, we're managing the exponential complexity of relationships. At 5 people, you have manageable intimacy. At 10 people, you have 45 potential communication channels, which often leads to subgroups forming naturally, fragmenting the team's coherence.
This mathematical reality connects to what psychologists call Dunbar's number, the cognitive limit of about 150 relationships humans can maintain. But within teams, we're dealing with much more intimate cognitive limits. It's like the difference between recognizing faces in a crowd versus actually collaborating with people in real time.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is how different communication patterns emerge at different team sizes. With 3 people, you naturally form a triangle of communication. Everyone talks to everyone. At 5 people, you might see a star pattern with one person at the center or a more distributed mesh. But at 7 or 8 people, you start seeing clusters and hierarchies forming organically, even without formal structure.
This connects to something deeper about tribal behavior, doesn't it? When you describe tribes as multiple squads working together with 1 to 3 leaders, you're essentially recreating the social structures that humans evolved with. It's like we're trying to scale intimacy without losing it.
Yes, and this is where those shared roles become crucial. The Agile Coach, quality assistants, data analyst, site reliability engineer, user research, product marketing. These are like the tribal elders who serve multiple squads. They provide specialized knowledge while maintaining cultural consistency across squads. It's a way of achieving both autonomy and alignment.
This tribal model also addresses something crucial about expertise development. When specialists serve multiple squads, they're constantly cross-pollinating ideas and patterns. A user researcher working with 3 different squads sees patterns that no single squad could discover alone. They become living repositories of institutional knowledge.
And there's a beautiful tension here between specialization and generalization. The shared roles need to be deep enough in their expertise to add real value, but broad enough in their perspective to work across different product contexts. It's like being a translator who needs to understand both languages fluently, not just mechanically convert words.
Conway's Law is particularly intriguing here. Organizations produce systems that mirror their communication structure. It's almost like organizational DNA expressing itself in code. If your teams are siloed, your software becomes siloed. If your teams integrate fluidly, your software integrates fluidly.
Conway's Law is so powerful because it makes visible the invisible. Most leaders think about org charts and software architecture as separate problems, but they're actually the same problem viewed from different angles. This is why those four organizational models I describe, by product, by user type, by journey, and by objective, aren't just structural choices. They're strategic choices about what kind of software you want to create.
Let's dive into those models. Organizing by product functionality seems most natural, but organizing by user type is fascinating, especially for marketplaces. It's like having dedicated ambassadors for each constituency. The buyer team truly understands buyers. The seller team truly understands sellers.
Exactly. And organizing by user journey takes this even further. It's about becoming obsessed with the customer story rather than your internal feature list. Instead of having a search team and a checkout team, you have a discovery team and a conversion team. The language itself changes how you think about problems.
But implementing these organizational models isn't just about drawing new org charts. There are hidden challenges around incentives, metrics, and career progression. If you organize by user journey, but your promotion criteria still reward feature delivery, you create cognitive dissonance that can paralyze teams.
This is where many transformations fail. They change the structure, but not the systems. If your discovery team is measured by conversion rates, they might optimize for immediate conversions rather than long term user education. If your conversion team is measured by discovery metrics, they might send unqualified users into a funnel that isn't ready for them. The metrics need to align with the mission.
And organizing by objective, like having growth teams or retention teams, is almost like organizing around desired outcomes rather than existing capabilities. It forces you to think backwards from impact rather than forwards from what you can build.
The magic happens in hybrid approaches, which is what most successful companies actually do. Take the Lopes example I mentioned. They transformed from product organized teams to what they call actor organized teams. Instead of having generic product squads, they created specialized teams for buyers, sellers, brokers, and developers. Each team could optimize deeply for their specific user type while still contributing to the overall platform.
I find it interesting how different companies approach this transition. Some do it gradually, starting with pilot teams to test new structures. Others do what they call a big bang reorganization. Spotify famously evolved their model over years, constantly experimenting with squad sizes, tribe compositions, and the role of guilds and chapters.
The Spotify model is particularly instructive because it shows how organizational structure becomes a competitive advantage when it enables rapid learning and adaptation. Their guilds create horizontal knowledge sharing across tribes, while their chapters create vertical career development within disciplines. It's like creating multiple nervous systems within the same organism.
What's also revealing is how business model directly influences optimal team structure. Amazon's two pizza teams work well for their service-oriented architecture and ownership culture. Netflix's context over control philosophy requires different team dynamics than a heavily regulated fintech startup. The structure needs to match not just your product strategy, but your business model and risk tolerance.
Exactly. A healthcare platform dealing with regulatory compliance needs different communication patterns than a social media app optimizing for viral growth. The healthcare team might need more formal documentation and approval processes, while the social app might need more rapid experimentation and real time feedback loops. Same principles, different implementation.
What I love about these hybrid approaches is how they acknowledge that organizational design isn't a problem to be solved once, but an ongoing experiment. Like Gympass, balancing global platform consistency with local market needs, or Conta Azul, adapting their structure as they evolved from startup to scale up.
This brings us to the deeper principle. Structure should serve strategy, not the other way around. Your product vision and strategy should determine your team structure, not your existing organizational chart. Most companies do this backwards. They organize around their current capabilities rather than their future ambitions.
It's like the difference between designing a house around your existing furniture versus buying furniture that fits your dream house. The first approach limits your possibilities, the second approach expands them. And in fast moving tech markets, you need structures that can evolve as quickly as your understanding of the market evolves.
Absolutely. And this is where leadership becomes crucial, not just in choosing the right structure, but in helping teams navigate the tensions that inevitably arise. Every organizational model creates trade offs. Product focused teams might lose sight of user needs. User focused teams might create inconsistent experiences. Journey focused teams might optimize local maxima while missing global opportunities.
This reminds me of Alexander's concept of the quality without a name in architecture, that sense of aliveness that emerges from systems that balance opposing forces rather than optimizing for just one dimension. Effective product teams have that same quality. They're structured enough to be efficient, but flexible enough to be creative.
That's a beautiful analogy, Clara. And like architectural patterns that work across cultures but adapt to local context, these organizational patterns, the squad, the tribe, the shared roles, provide universal frameworks while allowing for contextual adaptation. The key is understanding the principles behind the patterns, not just copying the patterns themselves.
Before we wrap up, I want to mention that for leaders who want to dive deeper into implementing these concepts, Joka offers workshop services and mentoring to help companies develop and implement product vision and culture. You can find information about these services, along with his digital books, at the end of the original article.
You've just listened to a new episode of Beyond the Article Expanded by AI.
To read the original article and explore more content from Joka Torres, visit gyaco.com. That's Gyaco. And at the end of the article, you'll find information about Joka's workshop services, mentoring, and digital books for those who want to implement product vision and culture in their company.
Thank you for joining us. See you in the next episode.